Football. This game had never been played scientifically at Bates, but we suppose it may now be considered as fairly introduced, wrote the Bates student 150 years ago. On November 6 of 1875, Bates played Tufts on Rand Field in the first intercollegiate football game ever held in Maine. Rand Field was located where Gillespie Hall stands today, at 280 College Street. It took 18 years, but in 1893, Bates fielded their first football team to play a full season. The late 19th century produced pioneers like Oliver Cutts, class of 1896, later an All-American at Harvard. Royce Purinton, class of 1900, was a great quarterback who played before the days of the forward pass. With Purinton and stars such as William Allen Saunders and team captain Nate Pulsifer, Bates went undefeated in 1897 and 1898, notching their first victories over Bowdoin and cementing a rivalry. In 1899, Bates football began playing at Garcelon Field, a rough pasture east of Roger Williams Hall, shown here being cleared by students. As the program entered the 20th century, Purinton became Bates' athletic director and head coach. Known as Coach Pury, he established the college's well-deserved reputation for clean play and academic integrity. In 1924, Bates adopted the Bobcat as its mascot, small but fierce. That fighting spirit was embodied by Charles Ray, class of 1927, the college's first black captain of any sport and a force on both sides of the ball, despite standing at just 5'7". Dave Morey arrived at Bates in 1929 and turned around a program that had gone winless and scoreless the previous year. Dubbed the Wonder Coach, he led Bates to state championships in 1929 and 1930, beating Maine, Bowdoin, and Colby in the same season for the first time in 3 decades. In the fall of 1932, Bates shocked the football world by tying mighty Yale 0-0 in the Yale Bowl. For a small Maine school to stand up to an Ivy League giant made national headlines. Morey had many of his games filmed, giving us a cool look at some of the first footage ever recorded of Bates football. Note the reverse quarterback, providing some deception here under center for a Bates touchdown against Colby circa 1934. In 1941, Bates hired Yale legend Raymond Ducky Pond as head coach.
He was like an older brother. Ducky was a very good defensive coach. The schemes he drew up really made it very complicated in that day and age for teams to be able to really run their offense.
After World War II interrupted play, Pond returned to lead the 1946 Bobcats to a perfect 7-0 season, capped by a state championship and an invitation to the inaugural Glass Bowl in Toledo, Ohio. This is never-before-seen footage of the Glass Bowl, obtained recently from the University of Toledo archives. Though Bates lost 21-12, Art Blanchard, a 24-year-old first-year and World War II veteran, was named the game's MVP as the Bobcats earned national acclaim. Here's Blanchard punching it across the goal line for a touchdown. Bob Hatch came to Bates in 1949, and he led the football program from 1952 to 1972. In 1956, the Bobcats won a particularly memorable state series title, which included a huge upset win in Orono.
When we came home, the Bates students were waiting for the bus, and Page was under construction then. Mm-hmm. On the roof of Page, just a plywood roof, they had written the score up there in 1913, so it's still there as far as I know.
That team was led by All-America running back Bob Spinner Martin, class of 1957, who scored 15 touchdowns and became the first Bates athlete to have his jersey retire. A few years later, center and linebacker Howie Vandersee, class of 1963, starred for the Bobcats, earning All-America honors before going on to a distinguished coaching career. The 1960s saw the end of the Maine State Series and the birth of the CBB Series, as the Bobcats stopped playing the University of Maine following the 1964 season. The rivalry with Colby and Bowdoin remains timeless.
Playing Bowdoin, some guy threw a cross-body block at me, threw his foot up in the air and hit me in the mouth, and I had 45 stitches in my mouth and spent the the day at Bowdoin, then down to the dentist who repaired my mouth. And he invited me home for dinner that evening, and his wife served steak. So that was the typical Bowdoin event.
From 1965 to 1968, Bates football recorded 4 straight winning seasons for the first and so far only time. Powered initially by fullback Tom Carr, class of 1966, who was drafted by the Patriots, and then by quarterback Jim Murphy, class of 1969. Murphy threw a school record 50 touchdown passes before going on to a legendary coaching career in women's soccer and basketball at Bates.
The coach would send in a play and in a certain formation that you couldn't run. And Murph would just either change it or go to the sideline and say, "Coach, we can't do that, and here's why." So the coach would say, "Run what you think is right." And he would.
In the decades since, Bates football has continued to make its mark. From All-American Larry DJ Marino's record-breaking seasons in the late 70s and early 80s, to dramatic CBB victories under beloved coaches like Webb Harrison and Mark Harriman, the Bobcats have carried forward the spirit born in that first game back in 1875. Harrison, a Bates alum and former Marine who coached the team from 1978 to 1991, coined perhaps the most famous phrase in the college's history.
Remember, it's a great day to be a Bobcat.
During the 20 years Mark Harriman coached the Bobcats, there was a lot to celebrate.
It was always about the team, and that's something that is carried with me for my whole life, right? You want to surround yourself with good people, but he, as a man, has probably had the most profound impact on my life.
It's not always easy being an athlete at a elite academic institution, and the time and energy that you have to put into obviously your academics, but then also if you're a dedicated athlete, the time you have to put into that, and it's just a testament to guys that really cared about it.
For 150 years, Bates football has been more than wins and losses. But in 2026, a new era will begin, as for the first time, NESCAC football teams will be eligible for postseason play. With improved recruiting under fourth-year head coach Matt Coyne, the next 150 years of Bates football should be good, dare we say great, days to be a Bobcat.